On today's episode, friend of the show, Tough Mudder CEO Kyle McLaughlin.
This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast.
Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. You are listening to the number one rated OCR podcast in the world. Because of listeners like you, thank you for rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts. Seriously, I appreciate it, those reviews on Apple Podcasts. Today in our show, Kyle McLaughlin. You know Kyle McLaughlin as the CEO of Tough Mudder. And he is laying out the schedule for 2022. If you go to the OCR Report Instagram page, at the OCR Report on Instagram, you will find the 2022 schedule. There are 28 venues in the US and 10 venues in the UK laid out for 2022. The first Tough Mudder of the year is SoCal, January 29th and 30th. And Tough Mudder will have events going all the way through December next year. That's right, January through December. You could call that all year long if you'd like. You know, traditionally, usually, the first Tough Mudder of the year would be in late March or like last week of March, first week of April. And it would usually be SoCal or maybe New Orleans or maybe Texas, like Central Texas, I think it's been in the past. This year, I'll just read the first couple of them to you. SoCal, January 29th, 30th. Arizona, February 19th and 20th. College Station, that's Texas, March 19th and 20th. And they've got them going all year long. LA, Atlanta, Missouri, Philly, NorCal, New England, Ottawa, Michigan, Twin Cities, Long Island, Colorado, Indiana, Portland, Chicago, Sonoma, Poconos, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Seattle, DC/Virginia, Dallas, Carolinas, San Diego, and Central Florida. So that's the plan for Tough Mudder 2022 in the US. In the UK, 10 venues starting April 1st and 2nd in North London. You also have Midlands, London West, Scotland, Manchester, Yorkshire, Southwest, Northwest, and London South. There's also another South London venue to be confirmed. You know what? Here's something fun. On the UK calendar, they say TBC. On the US calendar, there's a couple that they don't have the venue lined up yet. They say TBD. So, gotcha by one letter, UK. Hey, before we talk with Kyle McLaughlin, let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Today's review comes from mattsuk.com. mattsusk.com. Matt writes, 5 stars. Hopefully I'll earn my 4X headband this 2021 race year and a WTM headband as well. Thanks. Started listening thanks to the Facebook community. Started listening to you and have learned so much. Thank you. Thank you, mattsusk.com. mattsusk.com doing the old I'm going to leave a review so he'll read my website trick. Not going to fall for it, mattsusk.com. You can leave a review for the podcast also. Open the Purple Podcast app on your iPhone or iOS device. Search for World's Toughest Podcast. Click our logo and then scroll down to click Write a Review. And I will read it on a future episode.
Christopher Mendoza.
Wrong button. Kyle McLaughlin is the CEO of Tough Mudder. He and I talked this morning on Instagram Live. If you would like to watch these before you can even get them on the podcast, jump on our Instagram at the OCR Report for race info, for calendars, for race results. If you want to know who won the latest Tougher Mudder, if you're into it, this weekend is the OCR World Championships and a big race with Spartan, the North American Championships. We'll have coverage of those races as well. Check out the OCR Report Instagram. And if you are craving more OCR podcast content, go to theocrreport.com. Check out our other podcasts. Obstacle Running Adventures, OCR Coven. We have a couple that are on hiatus as well. Overcome and Run and OCR Talk. And the OCR Report podcast, the flagship. Check that out too. Our photographer, Jack Goris, even started a podcast. It's not OCR or even OCR adjacent, but you can find that by looking for Jack Goris, Goras, on Apple Podcasts. 2022 is going to be a big year for Tough Mudder. Didn't even sneak preview the Tough Mudder Infinity multi-lap race, which Kyle's going to talk about in a minute. Enough of me. Let's talk with the CEO of Tough Mudder, Kyle McLaughlin. Let's go to the phones. Good to see you guys. Kyle McLaughlin.
I always love the way you say my name. It's the most dramatic, Kyle McLaughlin. Yeah. It's a good confidence booster to start the day.
I mean it in all respect. I'm not trying to. I'm just excited to talk to you, man.
I like it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Good. It's launch day. We're feeling great over here.
Launch day for the 2022 schedule. Let's jump right into it. You guys this morning released the calendar, the race calendar for 2022 for the U.S. and the U.K. 28 venues in the U.S. Kyle, I went and looked back at the 2021, like the initial launch calendar. 21 venues last year planned. Why so many more? What's the big increase?
I mean, we're growing. It's as you've seen across the season this year, we've sold out a number of events. People are eager to get back out there. We are eager to get back to some places that we haven't been to since 2019, and eager to continue to throw more on the calendar to satisfy what we're seeing in terms of people eager for some Tough Mudder love.
Let's talk about a couple of the kind of the big highlights I saw. 5 Tough Mudders in California. And one specifically, it says San Diego, which I don't know if I know Tough Mudder has always had SoCal events, but I don't think we've had a San Diego event before.
Yeah, so we are scouting a number of venues down in your neck of the woods, in the far southern part of California down there. But let's just say that it could be anywhere from San Diego proper up to Vail Lake. So
Vail Lake, this is a personal story, was my very first Tough Mudder ever. And a couple of years into my OCR career, the property sold, and the story we heard was the new owners weren't interested. And if Vail Lake ever happened again, I would be there with bells on. That'd be exciting.
Well, no promises, but we've got some exciting things in the works.
Tell me about Canada. I see a new venue. It looks like a new venue in Ottawa.
Yep. So we're working on finalizing a venue in Ottawa, which will give our Ontario community 2 options in that neck of the woods. And we left it off the calendar, Will, because it's still very, very much a work in progress. I'm knowing how near and dear it is. We didn't want to overpromise on this one, but we have not given up on Vancouver and Whistler yet. So Whistler Olympic Park, which is our legacy venue up there, is no longer viable for events. They don't have enough footprint for us, but we are actively searching and scouting and negotiating for locations on the British Columbia side as well.
Love Whistler. I've said before, my favorite Tough Mudder I ever did was up in Whistler. Toughest Whistler, 5-6 years ago. Brought the family up, made the whole weekend of it. There's a big tram they have up there. Love Whistler if that ends up happening.
Yeah, we're on it. So, but some other great additions as well. We're excited to be back to Elsinore in January. It's the first time we've ever had a January event on the Tough Mudder calendar. So, cook up some good weather for us down there in Southern California. But Arizona, February, March in College Station, the biggest Q1 schedule we've ever had now for Tough Mudder. So going a full 12 months a year next year. And then big growth in Florida, some additions on the West Coast of Portland, shuffle in the Northeast, and excited to get back to Carolinas as well, which we haven't touched since 2017.
You say the 12-month schedule. The first event of the year is January 29th in SoCal. Traditionally March is where we look for the first event. So that's exciting also.
Yeah, and we've had that SoCal one live for a couple months. I mean, sales are really strong into that, so we're already starting to get to the point where some start times are going to start to sell out on that probably within the next couple weeks here. So we're excited to be able to go, full year, right? That off season per se always gave people a little bit of an excuse to stop their training and to sit on their couch a little bit longer after the holidays. I think particularly for the southern part of the country where we can deliver events in nice warm weather, being able to be there in January, February, and March is a great way to kick off the season.
You mentioned ticket sales are strong. I had a theory I was kind of putting out last year that once kind of the first half of 2021 would be slower, but the second half, once everyone had shots, once everyone was feeling more comfortable, like people would be like just demanding to get out on course and like to do things around people. Have you guys seen that with the ticket sales?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you, it's been really regional, right? So, California, you guys have been a little bit slower to come back to life, but we're seeing it there. And Glen Helen coming up here in just about a month is picking up strong. Where Tejon Ranch back in August was one of the smaller events we delivered this year. But many of our events have sold out. We've had sold out Saturdays at probably 60 to 70% of the events this year. Most of the Midwest sold their Saturdays out. Dallas and DC, which are both coming up here in the next few weeks, have been sold out on Saturday for over a month. And we're continually surprised by sort of the surge in demand of people. And just to your point, I think eager to be together again, eager to get back out there. And a lot of people that took up training and running on a treadmill or riding a Peloton or doing exercise in their basement for the first time need an outlet to be able to put that to work.
Let's talk about something else you guys announced, the course distances next year. 5K, 10K, 15K. Tell me about the course distances.
5K is it, historically we put, let's call it some of the easier or lower value obstacles, on that course. Some crawls, some walls, some of the more basic stuff. You're going to start to see some of the more signature and advanced features from a Tough Mudder course sneak onto 5K. Earlier this year, we quietly started rerouting all the 5K finishers through electroshock, which we've done at every event since New Hampshire, and the reviews have been incredible, right? And I think for the longest time, the sort of collective thinking over here was that, the 5K runner doesn't want to do EST, and that, I will tell you, is 100% false. If anything, the Legionnaires don't want to do EST, and the 5K participants are all about it. But, Tough Mudder 10K is our new format. So, we haven't had a, let's call middle distance format since the half went away, after the 2018 season. And I think, honestly, that the half people struggle to really understand. Like, what is Tough Mudder half? Half of what? Is it a half marathon? Is it, tell me what I'm signing up for.
Sure.
10K is a distance that everybody understands. Everybody knows. They've probably done one before. And honestly, I think it may fit as being the long-term sweet spot, right? Where people say like, all right, 6 miles, 20 obstacles, like 2 to 3 hours on course. I get to do, some of the high value, Arctic Enema. I get some of the Tough Mudder signature features on that course. We're going to run 10Ks mostly on Sunday next year. So unlike the course of the 2018 where you had 5K half and full in the U.S., often running all three at the same time, which made for lots of cuts and turns and kind of crazy course routing. Most of our courses are going to be 15K, which is the classic, and 5K running on Saturday, and then 10K and 5K running on Sunday. 10K is also allowing us to be able to design courses for venues where we always have to squeeze the classic in, like at College Station, Texas. If you were there with us in 2019. Great venue, but I mean, we struggled to get to 8 miles now on that venue. So we're not going to run it. We're not going to put a course there that we call, a classic or a 15K that's only 8 miles. We're going to put a 10K there and design a really damn good 10K. And then 15K, is the sort of new name for Tough Mudder Classic. We wanted to make sure that people really understood what they were signing up for. I can't tell you how many times I've stood checking people in at registration this year. They walk up and be like, "Oh, I'm here for the 10K." Like, no, you're here for the 5K or the 10 miler. But 15K is the Tough Mudder Classic everybody knows and loves. with five more obstacles, I should say, coming onto the course. There'll be 9+ miles and 30 obstacles in 2022.
Something we used to hear from Tough Mudder and from Spartan was that our customers are different. Like there's very little crossover between the Spartan customer and the Tough Mudder customer, and I didn't believe it until I kind of got into the heavy on the Spartan side. And one kind of reaction I'm seeing is with the 5, 10, 15K, it's three different race distances. It's very similar to the Spartan trifecta, and some people aren't super excited about. Well, it's a trifecta now. Like we kind of did the trifecta a couple years ago. What do you say to the Tough Mudder people who are a little concerned about Spartan bleed over?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I think people give Joe too much credit, right? Like, Tough Mudder is making Tough Mudder decisions in terms of what we do. The big reason we introduced the 10K was that when we launched 5K 3 years ago, it's been hugely successful. Tons of people signed up for it. We've had a lot of new customers to welcome, new participants to bring in. But the leap to go from doing a 5K to doing a 10-mile event is a pretty big leap for a lot of people. If you're signing up for the 5K, you're probably signing up because you're not interested in doing a 10-mile event, or you don't feel like you're able to, like you're ready for it from a running perspective and a training perspective. So getting a middle distance back in there, a lot of people cross that finish line of 5K and they're like, I could do that again, right? I could do double this. Do I want to do triple this? Like, maybe not right now. So the 10K is a stepping stone and a way to get people to continue their progression sort of in their Tough Mudder journey. 15K is the same classic that we've known and loved, right? Like the classic Tough Mudder has gone from 10 to 12 miles to 8 to 10 miles. If you really go back to the early days, right? Like the original Tough Mudder was only 8 miles long. So it's gone anywhere from 8 to 12 and vacillated back and forth. But based on the venues that we've got, we think 15K distance. And look, we're as we typically do, like we're not racing here, so we're going to be a little liberal on 9 to 10 miles on that 15K distance to be able to design the best course we have available.
Another change for 2022 is to Tougher Mudder. Tell me about Tougher, or the changes there for next year.
So this is the farewell tour for Tougher, Will. The last few events here of 2021, your last chance to earn the Tougher bib on a Saturday morning. But we are replacing Tougher's spot on the schedule with a couple of options. So every event next year on Saturday and Sunday mornings will feature a Legionnaire Wave, which will be generally the first wave out on course, reserved for people who've done 5 or more Tough Mudders, and really sort of a perk for the community, for those who have invested in Tough Mudder in the past. To have the first chance to be out on course, the prices are going to be fixed on those waves, so they're not going to go up every couple months like our typical prices do. But there's capacity on it, right? So there's 300 spots per day. When those spots are gone, they're gone. That wave's going to be password protected. So if you've got 5 more Tough Mudders under your belt, you'll get the password to sign up for the wave, and you can invite your friends. So you can bring people in. You can bring new first timers in to be a part of that experience. But sort of giving that mostly of what the community loves about Tougher is that chance to be together, that chance to be out first on course. We are also, we have the timing equipment. We're going to have it there on site. So if you're a person who likes to run first in the morning for time for your own kind of personal training and glory, we will give you the option to add on a bib and timing to that wave. So you'll still be able to get it timed if you want to. There's not going to be a podium. There's not going to be penalties. There's not going to be the same sort of refereed race that Tougher has had in the past. But if you want to run for time and be able to kind of track against your own goals and targets, you'll be able to still do that. And realistically, Will, I think you know this, right? But Tougher was created a number of years ago to compete with Spartan. And we don't need to do that anymore, right? It's not, Tougher, in and of itself, like this kind of solo wave race experience isn't really what Tough Mudder is about. If I'm being honest, I don't know that we ever did it well, right? Like, referees and penalties and, being able to have that experience in place was never Tough Mudder's strong suit. This is not what we do, and not who we are. The other exciting thing, though, that we have added in as what will be the other kind of crown or the jewel in the Holy Grail crown here is Tough Mudder Infinity. So Tough Mudder Infinity is going to launch next week. On the 28th, there'll be 10 U.S. events and 4 UK events. They'll be attached to Tough Mudder weekends. And if you did the daytime toughest in NorCal in 2018. We kind of went into that event. It was obviously a byproduct of the LA cancellation from earlier in 2018, and we had to shift the toughest and moved it into NorCal. We couldn't do the event overnight, so we did it during the day. Well, it was the highest rated event we've ever done from a customer satisfaction standpoint. Usually our events score like somewhere between 70 and 80, on our customer satisfaction out of a score of 100. That daytime toughest was a 95, and people loved it. And, as we've seen people do multiple laps of the course for years, for a long time, we've been working on all right, how do we take the multi-lap experience and make it something that's supported and official and, not something that you kind of do behind the scenes and, if you want to, but something that can actually be something where you can earn against it and you can, make it part of your own goal setting. So Tough Mudder Infinity is that next year at 10 events starting in May. It'll start at Philly in May will be the first one. You will be able to do a 15K lap first. You'll start at 7:30 in the morning with the other Infinity starters. Everybody will do the 15K lap first. And then after that, you'll be able to choose consecutive 5K or 15K laps to do to continue to build up mileage. So if you want to go and do 15K, 2 or 3 times to get 30, 45K, you'll be able to do that. If you want to do 15K and then tack on a couple of 5Ks, you'll be able to really kind of choose your own adventure. We'll have a mini pit area, similar to what the old toughest pits used to look like with the tables, where you'll be able to get food and hydration plus additional amenities. But the real benefit is that you're not on course by yourself with a wetsuit and a headlamp in the middle of the night, right? You're on course with 5,000, 10,000 other people who are there to help you through obstacles. We'll have dedicated lanes for the Infinity participants so that you're not stuck behind a little line or a queue. And we really haven't had that many challenges with lines this year. But to be able to go straight up to the front in Everett, every start wave will know that the people in the purple bibs are out there for Infinity, and they'll be cheering you on and ready to help you. And you'll be able to earn, similar to WTM, kind of distance earnings at certain intervals. So there'll be an earning at 30K, at 45K, and then 60K being sort of the golden bib. That's 4 classic laps, in a Saturday if you can squeeze that in, or a whole hell of a lot of 5K laps. So we're pretty excited about that as the new endurance product. It's a great stepping stone to make the transition from doing a classic to doing an overnight toughest. And then obviously great training for WTM if you're signed up for WTM 22.
I did that daytime toughest up in NorCal, and a lot of us who had done a lot of nighttime toughest going into that were real nervous. We're like, oh man, we want it to be a good event, but we don't want it to be too good because we like the nighttime toughest. But all of us, everyone I talked to, loved it. We're like, great. Now, it's great. What are we going to do? So that sounds like a great way to, how long is Tough Mudder Infinity? How many hours?
So you'll start at 7:30, and then your last classic lap start time will cut off at 1:30, and your last 5K lap classic cutoff, your last 5K lap cutoff time will be at 2:45. So depending on how you run and how you sequence your laps, and look, there's a whole new game of strategy to this now, right? So what order do you do the laps in? How do you sequence them? How do you look at the obstacle menu to say, this is on 5K and this is on 15K? So you do the 5K lap 3 times, you're doing 39 obstacles. You do the 15K once, you're doing only 30 obstacles. So there's a whole new layer of strategy to it that hasn't necessarily been a factor for toughest in the past or tougher. But you'll have up to 5:30 will be the course cutoff. So you'll have a 10-hour window to do as much distance as you can. So
the first Tough Mudder Infinity is in Philly on May 21st and 22nd. It'll just be on Saturday, probably.
It'll just be on Saturday. Yep. So Infinity will only be on Saturdays in the markets that it's in next year. But you may notice that Philly is also a toughest weekend for next year. So we will be offering the new Unholy Grail in the U.S., which has been a topic of much discussion. But if you want to do the Infinity toughest, a 10K and a 5K on Sunday, that will be the Unholy Grail that will debut in both the U.S. And the UK next year.
I'm not even writing that down. That's basically, you're 4 hours shy of a world's toughest almost.
Well, I mean, it's truly, that's where it started from, right? The Unholy Grail has been this mythical experience for many of our UK mudders who couldn't make it over to the US for WTM. but the unholy grail experience, if you're really willing to put your body through that, you'll do an infinity and a minimum of a 15K plus a 5K lap on Saturday morning. Toughest overnight on Saturday night, and then a 10K and a 5K on Sunday.
You mentioned Tough Mudder UK. The Tough Mudder UK schedule also dropped today. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, 10 events on the calendar next year. Back to the full schedule that we intended to run this year before Scotland got ripped out from under us, and we lost Manchester to being a vaccination site. But back to both of those venues, the goal next year, and then we are working on some other options as well. So most of that calendar is fully live and launched and available for sale. But very excited to have the UK calendar also not compressed into like this tiny 3-month window. We've run a Tough Mudder almost every weekend there for the past 3 months. It's been a crazy summer for that team, but we'll be back to our nice spread out calendar in 2022.
First Tough Mudder UK event is April 1st and 2nd in North London, going through at least September for London South. Is there any word on Toughest UK?
Yeah, Toughest UK will be at Northwest next year, so a venue change on that. So it's been homed at Midlands for some time, but moving to Northwest, and we'll be launching that shortly. But excited if the Northwest venue if you haven't seen the pictures, is hands down the best mud anywhere in the globe at a Tough Mudder event. People come out literally covered head to toe. It's an amazing venue. Pretty excited to move ETM up there.
Coming up soon, 2.5 months? World's Toughest Mudder 2021. First World's Toughest in 2 years.
We're like almost 50 days out. I don't know, counting down here, but like we're a month and a half away. Time is ticking. 50
days. What can you tell us about World's Toughest this year?
Well, I mean, we are coming down the home stretch and finalizing a course design. We will have to talk, over the next few weeks about obstacles. So the theme of this year's World's Toughest Mudder, and I'm previewing. You're getting the scoop on this, Will. So you can taunt Matt Davis with this later. But the theme for obstacles this year at World's Toughest Mudder is let's call it mashups, or the stepchildren of WTM. So the crazy product and obstacle design team here has been working at what obstacles we can combine to create mutant obstacles that may be the thing of legend, or maybe things that people never come back from. But let's just say we'll start off with electroshock therapy meets pitfall is one of the first additions to the course for this year.
So you can't exactly run through that, or it'll break your
you might
ankle.
You might have a hard time running through that one. Let's put it that way.
That's exciting. What else should a first timer for World's Toughest know this year?
Well, I mean, I think there's a ton of people in the community who've got experience running in the desert, right? McLaughlin conditions very similar to what people experienced in Vegas from 2014 to 2017. This is the weather out there is kind of a crazy guessing game as to whether you're going to get hot, cold, sun, wind, even the occasional rainstorm sweeps through that part of the country. So a nice little dust storm for those nostalgic about the dust storms of WTM past. But if you're not training, you should be. It's a little bit late to get started, but no time like the present to start racking up some miles. I'm pretty excited about the course. We've got everything nice, kind of densely packed into downtown Laughlin there. This is hands down the most accessible WTM we've ever had. You can walk across the street from the hotel to the venue. You've got an In-N-Out burger walking distance from the pit area. So all of your hungry pit crew members aren't going to have to find the only Domino's pizza in rural Georgia in the middle of the night to get their fix from. Plenty of options. We're just about to launch the name of the brunch venue. Brunch is actually nearing sellout, so we're in a really good spot there as well. But it's going to be a blast. We're excited to be back in the desert, excited to be back to a little casino town there. And we've got some fun things cooking for WTM 2022 as well, which we will, of course, launch on the Monday after Worlds.
After World's Toughest Mudder, Tough Mudder and Spartan are doing something they've never done before on December 11th in Florida. I don't know the official name, but the crossover event, 1 weekend, 1 venue, 2 race brands. How is the planning for that going?
mean, it kind of depends on who you ask, right? Like, we call it Tough Mudder with a side of Spartan. I'm sure the Spartan team thinks it's something different, but it's going great. I mean, the team's been down there scouting. We've got a really cool course design. The property's massive and amazing, and just great kind of Florida, swampy wetlands, some great forest and trail running. You've got a full Spartan trifecta weekend there. You'll have the first chance of seeing the new Tough Mudder 10K there as well, which will be running on Sunday morning. We will be doing a little bit of obstacle testing there. So, for Legionnaires who are interested in coming down to that, we'll be announcing more on that in the coming months. But if you are an OCR fan, or you are a Tough Mudder or a Spartan diehard, like, this is the don't miss event of the year. So, Telluride and WTM and Abu Dhabi are great, but like, if you're a community diehard, Florida, in December is the place you want to be. We've got all sorts. It's going to be a big joint festival area. So we've got you will have, regardless of what event you're running, you'll have access to the combined Spartan and Tough Mudder Festival. One big central main stage, where you will be able to take part in Tough Mudder's festival challenges, Spartan festival challenges, head-to-head competitions and games between the two communities throughout the day, and really a chance to pack in as many medals and headbands as you can through the course of the weekend. I mean, I talked to Melissa Linden this past weekend at Tri-State. She's going to try to go for all 6 in the course of the weekend. I've talked to a lot of people who are going for 4. So if you really time your sequencing out, you can fit quite a bit of hardware into the weekend.
I was looking at the calendar for next year, and on January 29th, Tough Mudder and Spartan are both in SoCal. Is that another crossover?
Not another crossover. Separate venues, not that far away. Spartan will actually be at our Legacy Glen Helen venue, and we'll be down at Lake Elsinore. I mean, look, the reality, Will, is that as we've talked about, the crossover between the two is relatively little. So as we were trying to align, people think that picking venues is this really easy, like, well, we're going to be here on this date. We've got to get staffing schedules and trucking schedules and the venue's availability and all those things to sort of line up and triangulate. And it just so happened that was the best weekend for both of us to be in the respective spots. So, if you want to pack 2 in, they're only about an hour away from each other, so you can quickly make it from San Bernardino down to Lake Elsinore. But two Tough, a Tough Mudder and a Spartan, separate venues, same part of the country, but exciting stuff.
Kevin Calder might have a question on Toughest UK, but so Kevin, put that in there real quick. Is there anything else we should tell the community about 2022?
So, a good chunk of the calendar is launched today. There's a few venues, that are still marked as TBC, on that calendar that we're confirming final venue details. Those will launch for sale over the course of the next few weeks here. We are launching Infinity next week, so look for that to come out on the 28th. That'll open for registration. And then the Legionnaire Wave and season passes will go out on the 1st. So, our season pass lineup for next year, there will be 3 pass options, Will. The core season pass, which gets you unlimited 5K, 10K, and 15Ks. The season pass plus, which includes unlimited Infinities, Toughest, and Worlds. And then the Holy Grail pass, which is 1 Infinity, 1 Toughest, and then WTM.
Awesome. Kyle, thanks much. Before we go, you guys make sure to subscribe to the OCR Report on Instagram for future Tough Mudder lives. Kyle, any last thoughts?
No, Will, it's so great to catch up. Some exciting things going on here at TMHQ. So hopefully see you guys out at the toughest weekend here, Toughest West in Seattle, and a busy October as we hit through Pittsburgh, DC, Glen Helen, and then right into Dallas and WTM. So we're looking to finish the rest of the year strong. We'll see you guys out there.
Kyle McLaughlin, thanks much.
All right.
Special thanks to Kyle McLaughlin for appearing in this episode. Well done, Kyle. Come back anytime. Kyle has the OCR CEO / past world champion golden ticket.
I've got a golden ticket.
He can come on the show. They can come on the show anytime they want, the golden ticket holders. What do you think about 2022? What do you think about Tough Mudder Infinity? That's pretty exciting. Speaking of exciting, I'm looking forward to World's Toughest 2021. Will I see you there? Shoot me a message. Shoot me a text. 619-485-2726. 619-485-2726. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.